Welcome back to a special vice presidential debate edition of America Decides. Let's go ahead and head to the spin room with our Caitlin Huey-Burns and Ed O'Keefe for more on tonight's debate. Guys, I'm so excited to be anchoring these 4 hours with you. Ed, set the scene for us, the state of the race and your expectations for tonight.
Well, Lindsay, welcome to Down the Hall here at the CBS Broadcast Center. You're over on the news side. We're over here where they make the funny and they make the sports usually. But tonight it's the scene of the next big step in this presidential campaign, as our colleagues Nora O'Donnell and Margaret Brennan will moderate this debate between JD Vance and Tim Walz. And essentially, historically, the vice presidential debate is designed to do no harm, to perhaps reinforce what it is the running mate would do to back up the top of the ticket, and ideally not screw up in any big way to cause greater concern about that person at the top of the ticket. And in this case, we know both of these gentlemen were picked at different times in this campaign to essentially do the same thing: appeal to Midwestern voters, maybe men who were on the fence about either of these candidates, and to reinforce aspects of the politics and the personality of these two contenders. If it was JD Vance, it was the idea that he was a next-generation MAGA Republican. If it's Tim Walz, it's that he reinforces the sense of joy and optimism and maybe, yeah, slightly center-left Democratic politics that Kamala Harris has brought to the race. And we'll see how it goes in just a few hours as they spar for about 90 minutes.
Caitlin, what do we know about how each candidate has been preparing for this moment?
Well, it's interesting because if you look at these two tickets, they could not be more different. But as you mentioned, Vance and Walz are competing for similar types of voters, but they also have very different styles. And we know that they have been studying each other. They haven't been in kind of the big national stage for a long time. Obviously, Walz is a governor, was a congressman. JD Vance has just been a senator for about 2 years. But talking to sources in the Vance campaign, they believe that he has had a lot of practice in debates because he's been talking to the press nearly every day in press conferences, going on the Sunday shows, and has kind of conditioned himself to be used to a lot of the oppo coming at him and being able to handle that and answer that. But they've also been setting some expectations for their opponent. They have been saying that Vance has been studying Walz's past debate performances, and they are arguing that he is actually quite a good debater. So some expectation setting there. And it's notable, Lindsay, because Vance and Trump have very different preparation styles. Former President Trump kind of likes to pride himself on the idea that he doesn't need debate prep, that he doesn't do a lot of it. But I can tell you that Vance has been very focused on debate prep. He has had multiple sessions with advisors. He has had a mock debate in which Tom Emmer, the congressman from Minnesota, has stood in for Walz, and we'll talk to him later on in the next few hours as we cover this. And Walz has also been focused on debate prep. He's been in Michigan, a key battleground state, making some stops in between to kind of just meet and greet and shake hands. And, you know, that's kind of where he kind of fuels his campaign, is that kind of retail politics. And, you know, most people in the public just haven't seen Walz in this type of setting. They've seen him a little bit on the campaign trail. They've seen a few interviews, but not necessarily in this type of setting. So he's been hunkering down as well, preparing for this debate. And really, to your point about doing no harm, these two candidates are kind of the proxy for their tops of the tickets, their respective tops of the tickets, because this could be likely the last time we see a debate at all this cycle.
Yeah, and one other thing, Lindsay, you know, while JD Vance has been practicing with Tom Emmer, we know that the Harris-Walz team picked Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg to be Tim Walz's sparring partner, not only because he's also from the Midwest, but specifically because they said there's a Democrat who's very good at talking to Republicans in their space, in conservative media. The thought, the hope, the expectation is that Walz is also someone who can do that, given that he once represented a pretty conservative or swing congressional district in southern Minnesota, comes from Nebraska, has been governor of a big heartland state. The hope is that Buttigieg would help him sort of fine-tune that message and think through, how is it that I get through not only to my own partisans, but also to those swing voters or potentially disaffected Republicans looking for a reason to vote for Harris.
Yeah, we see him pop up on Fox News every now and then. Ed
Exactly.
and Caitlin, do debates matter? Talk to us about the undecideds and the disaffecteds.
The question of the campaign. Well, Lindsay, you know what's interesting here is that when we talk about those undecideds, it is such a small group. This is a base versus base election.
Yeah.
The campaigns will say that. And there are those voters in the middle that are either undecided or deciding whether to turn out at all. And so one of the big tasks for a vice presidential candidate is to be that attack dog against the other, try to tear the other person down, and also kind of make the case against the other. But I think there's a different kind of spotlight this time around because of the idea that could this person fill the shoes of the top of the ticket? I mean, Kamala Harris now is on the top of the ticket. 2 months ago, she wasn't.
Right.
JD Vance, he is running with someone who is the oldest candidate in this race, Donald Trump, and would be the oldest president if he would be older than Biden if he were
Vance would be
reelected.
the youngest vice president.
Exactly. So that takes on a new kind of focus.
Anytime someone asks you the question, Lindsay, do debates matter? You have a two-word answer. Joe Biden. Ask him if debates matter.
And the mic drop. Ed O'Keefe, Caitlin Huey-Burns, thank you both very much. Let's bring in CBS News Executive Director of Elections and Surveys, Anthony Salvanto. So we're talking about do no harm. 61% looking to see if the other side makes a mistake.
I know. I pulled this up when y'all were talking about that. And this is what happened when we asked people who said they were going to watch tonight, which is most voters, by the way. Why are you watching? And yeah, you got this majority, 6 in 10. Say if the other side makes a mistake. Look, the bigger story there, and it's somewhat part and parcel with this 71% who said to root for your party's candidate. A lot of times people have already made up their minds, but they're looking for confirmation, for affirmation of that choice. And there's a lot of that in here, right? They're looking for motivation, stay with the theme, because turnout is going to be so important, like Caitlin and Ed were just saying. But I would also point out this one, to learn something about the candidates. And that's key because, see this number down here, 24% to help you decide your vote? That's a smaller number. But this is so close that if it does move the needle a little bit, that's where it's going to come from. That's not insignificant.
You're taking new polling data here. What else stood out to you in some of the questions y'all were asking?
Well, you guys were talking about it earlier about whether people see these candidates as qualified to step in if needed. And that's probably the basic consideration here. Right now, each of these candidates is under half that the public says they would be qualified. I'm going to watch that tonight, and we're going to do an instant poll after the debate, and we're going to see along these lines if they've moved the needle on this, on likability, on all these other factors, because that is someplace where maybe they both have room to grow.
Vance and Walz haven't been on their respective tickets for very long. Have they moved the needle at all?
Some of that, I think, comes down to the enthusiasm factor. You mentioned this earlier. One of the basic measures maybe is, do you think you make the ticket better? And here, Democrats are really enthusiastic about Walz, and they see 3/4 of them do think he makes his ticket better. But look, you get a majority that say Vance makes the Republican ticket better. Inside this, it's interesting. That's especially true among MAGA Republicans, those who consider themselves part of the MAGA movement, which comes back around to this idea that if it's a base election and if it's about motivating turnout, maybe that's another sort of check the box for those voters that the Trump campaign is going to need.
Anthony Salvanto, always good to see you. We'll be seeing a lot of you tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you.